Hey, welcome back. I'm Adriana, and this is The Juggle is Real. And today you're in for such a treat. This is a pretty eye-opening conversation, at least for me. We're welcoming back two of the funniest, most unfiltered, and most relatable moms on the internet. I'm talking about Cat Nat. And if you're under a rock and if you're not familiar, they are the duo with 7 kids between them who somehow managed to make the chaos of motherhood hilarious. They keep it real. They know how to get down with the serious stuff and still be lighthearted. And they never run out of things to say or ways to keep us laughing. They built an empire around telling it like it is. And it's Catherine Belknap and Natalie Telfer, who are Cat Nat. They've really created a trusted brand with a rapidly exploding audience of engaged, like-minded women. Their mission is building a united community, and they deliver authentic content to help women and moms from all around the world learn and grow together. With honesty and humor, Cat and Nat dismantle the unrealistic portrayals of motherhood that are often presented throughout social media and traditional media. They have wildly popular books, Mom Truths, and that hit follow-up, Mom Secrets, along with their iHeartRadio award-nominated podcast, Cat and Nat Unfiltered. They share everything that moms think but are too afraid to talk about. And today we're talking about how they're supporting parents, specifically of teens and tweens, and they're really leveling up to tackling what can seem really scary and making it really manageable for parents who are raising teens in today's digital world, because it can feel scary, but the more you know, the more you can support your teen. So today we're diving into the deep end and we're talking about the Netflix series Adolescence. We're talking about some of the important conversations they're having lately, including the ways that they're supporting parents with their Screen Sense phone guide, and how and when and the ways that we can support our kids in the real world and in the digital world. So if that sounds good, I know it does. Let's just dive right in.
This is the Juggle is Real podcast. I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started.
This episode of The Juggle is Real is supported by Lind Canada. Easter is almost here, and it's one of those holidays where tradition meets magic, and of course, chocolate. And that is why I'm so excited to be partnering with Lind to bring some sweet inspiration to your celebrations. The Lind Gold Bunny has been a must-have Easter staple for over 70 years. It's crafted from premium Swiss chocolate, wrapped in signature gold foil, and finished with the classic red ribbon and golden bell. And this year, they've expanded their lineup with new offerings like Gold Bunny Salted Caramel, the Gold Bunny Milk Chocolate Bar, and the delicious Lindor Chocolate Mini Eggs in a larger 180-gram pouch. All perfect for gifting or adding to Easter baskets and, of course, Easter hunts. And to mix timeless traditions with new experiences, Lind has introduced Gold Bunny Hide and Seek, a magical Easter game that invites Canadians to step into the magical world of its iconic gold bunny. Just visit lind-gold-bunny.ca to play, find the gold bunnies inside their magical home, snap a selfie with the gold bunny, and hop out with a coupon to use at lind.ca or your nearest Lind chocolate shop. That's visiting lind-gold-bunny.ca to play. Make Lind part of your Easter this year, because the sweetest moments are the ones we enjoy together. You can visit lind.ca or a Lind chocolate shop across Canada to get everything that you need to make your Easter moments both magical and delicious. Now let's get back to the episode. Cat Nat,
Oh,
welcome back to the Juggle is Real. How's it going? How are you guys doing?
good. How are you?
So good. I'm so happy to be chatting with you. And I want to talk about topics that are really scaring me a lot. And I don't want to be filled with so much fear. And I know you guys are doing so many amazing things to support parents. But before we get into the serious stuff, I know you guys are keeping it real with the 7 kids and the passports and the sports and the dance and
Ah,
the travel and the touring and the businesses and the husbands with the same name. So just like, what's new with you guys? We haven't chatted like in person for a little while. How are you doing? What is up? What's lighting you up
I was like
lately?
thinking as you said that, I'm like, wow, I don't think I've thought about how I am in a long time. It's been so crazy. I know. I feel like, what our life is like right now is just like such like typical mom life that there's so much going on. I can't even believe how much driving around, how much school, how much friends, all the extras. And now people are asking like, what are you doing for summer? What are the plans? And we've always sort of been like, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants and we never make too many plans. And then we get ourselves in situations where we're all staring at each other. So, we're definitely not we're not the ones to come to and say like, oh, what are you guys doing for the summer? So I can just jump on your plans because we never have them. In between seasons when it's cold, like it feels like winter, but it's actually spring. It's tricky because then all of a sudden summer hits and you're like, wait, it's summer. You know what I mean? So I feel like the longer it's colder, the quicker everything sneaks up on us and hits us. So the thing is, as you know, hockey season, Canadian moms, you all know hockey season is a full-time job. And then what is terrible is when not terrible, what is a real kicker is hockey season ends and comp season starts for dance and baseball. So you like go right into competition season. So you're like comp, comp, comp. And then but comp season is also same time as baseball tournament season, and comps are outside the city, and so are baseball tournaments. I mean, we could talk about this forever. I think every mom understands. It is just, it's a lot. I just feel like it takes you to June, and then you're like, "Whoa, that happened fast." It's like we need a break between we get to summer so we can regroup, and there's no break. So you're like, I want to spend time with my kids because they've been in like we are given these 2 months in our in Canada with our kids. I want to spend time with them, but then you realize like you don't want that much time with them, and they don't want that much time with you.
I feel you. We just had like a week off because our hockey season ended, and then we don't ramp up again till the end of this week. And so it's like, what do we do with all of our time? It's like it's just this bizarre feeling. Yeah, it is bizarre, but then it's also like then my kids are just playing video games and it snowed here yesterday. And then it's like if they're not busy with all of these things that they're doing, what are they doing? And that's when we're talking about this digital world, which can be a little bit scary right now. So I just recently I'm terrible with shows and like keeping up on like what's in and what's out and what's cool and reality shows. But I did hunker down and I watched Adolescence, which is a Netflix series if you haven't seen it. And like the first episode, like I felt like physically ill. Like I had that feeling in my stomach where I was like, what the hell? Like what? And I didn't even know if I wanted to watch the other 3 episodes because I was like so disturbed. But then I did. And I was like, okay, we need to, instead of just like, lying away and like pretending nothing's happening and like burying my head under a pillow because my kids aren't quite there yet. My oldest is 10. But like it has so many parents on edge about what's really going on in their kids' lives with online stuff and social media and texting and group chats and gaming. And our kids just basically living this double life that we can't see. So first of all, because I know you guys are doing some awesome stuff, what was your reaction to watching Adolescence? Were you like, yeah, this checks, or were you shocked like I was?
I feel like it came out at a time where we've been working on our Screen Sense guide, which is teaching parents about social media apps, teaching them how to set up um, uh, like limits, talking to the kids about online etiquette and all of that stuff. So for us, it was like it felt like a wake up call for a lot of people who watched it, but it was what we've been working on for so long. And the thing about the show is I almost feel like I know a lot of parents said it's really hard to watch. They're deciding whether they should let their kids watch it depending on like the ages and stuff. But when you first watch it, it's like there are like topics that really like resonate with you depending on where you feel maybe fear or you're more sensitive to based on your kids, or if you have boys or if you have girls. And there are really so many big topics that come up in that show, more than just like online, not knowing what your kids are doing, toxic masculinity, incel, bullying,
rejection. It's a big one too, is of how boys perceive rejection. And if they, we have older kids, and I'll hear like, oh, she broke up with, just the rhetoric of someone breaking up with you and what that feels like, and how you're kind of a loser if someone breaks up with you or it doesn't work out. And those conversations really do start at home, but I think a lot of it is fueled from here's the disconnect: is parents, our kids are living in a world we don't know, and they're consuming what we can't see. So we can't have conversations with them if we can't see what we don't know. So it's like we hear parents all the time say, my kid would never, they don't know what that is. I mean, I think every boy probably between the ages of 10 and 15 know exactly who Andrew Tate is. And I would say most parents are like, who? And Andrew Tate's just sort of like a subcell of this movie, and he's not even in the movie, but it's the conversations and these little snippets that they're watching that come onto their phone for 15 seconds, and then they goes into their body somewhere, and then as parents we can't address it because we have no idea what's going on. So I think they can live a life and connect with things that we would never dream of, and I think we just carry on. And unfortunately, when boys are so busy, there isn't a lot of time to sit and hear their thoughts or hear their conversation. And I think sometimes they're not even processing what they're learning because they don't have the words. And I think all kids don't have the words to express what they're feeling until they get into a situation. Then they get in a situation and they make decisions that are really not, and I'm not saying murder, I'm just saying they do things, say things, type things, write things, get into a group where they feel masculine because they really haven't felt masculine maybe, and like, oh, this is I belong here. So I think it's just parents are disconnected.
Yeah, and I think that two parts in the series that were so like tapped right into that is when the investigator is talking to his son, and his son just pulls him aside and he's just like, Dad, like, you don't know the online language, like you're trying to figure out how this all happened based on an adult brain, and you are so not in our world. And it was so like, he was just like, oh my gosh, like you don't know what these emojis mean, you don't know what these acronyms mean, you don't know any of that. And the other one was when the parents were like, should we have not like left him alone online for so long without checking in on him? And those are two things that for us, like with the Screen Sense Guide, it's about education. It's about educating ourselves and then being able to open up the dialogue with our kids. And it's so sad, but the director also said that he wanted to create this movie because he had heard of two situations. Like, it wasn't based on a true story, but he had heard in like the same month or something, two situations of exactly this happening. And he was like, this needs to be addressed. So, I mean,
I think we need to understand that kids are living in a world that is amplified and they have no hindsight. So as adults, our brains are developed, we've had experiences. We got to grow up when you got rejected by someone, it was between you and that person, or maybe your friend group. Now, like all of their emotions and feelings are 15 times amplified, no, 150 times amplified, because it can be shared on something. You can be, dissed on social media. And I think it's just, as parents, it's not the end of the world. It's just, we need to parent them in a digital world. So we can't just parent them in the real world if they're going to have access. And a lot of parents are like, my kid will never have a cell phone till they're 16. I'm like, guess what? They're on computers at school, and they're on Snapchat at school, because you can go into www.snapchat.com and have access to everything you want with an iPad or a computer. So this is not a cell phone issue. This is an access issue. And pretending that your kids aren't going to have access to it, you're probably part of the problem, because you need to know, because it's their language, it's their friends, it's what's in their world.
And it's what matters to them the most. Whether you think like people like, oh, those apps are stupid, or I was just watching a show last night, and the daughter was like, oh, my group chat blew up last night. And then she said to him, you don't care about what I'm talking about. And he's like, I just don't care about your group chat. But it was like in that moment, it's like, but that's the most important thing in her life. And she's trying to talk to you about it, but you just think it's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So much here that is just A, like blowing my mind a little bit. B, I totally agree with so much of what you're saying. But then also it's like, okay, so now how do we do this? So what you're doing has really opened up our eyes. And I really love how you're not shying away from it, because as soon as I watched the show, I was like to my husband, like, this is crazy stuff. And he's like, well, that's it. Like, no, our kids aren't getting cell phones. Like, legit, like just said that.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay. However, they do have like computers that they bring to school and all these different things, exactly what you said. And while like they are on the cusp of these things, you know, my 10-year-old has, you know, teammates on his hockey team who already do have cell phones and already are in this world and have YouTube pages and different things like that. And I'm not saying it's bad or good or anything, but you created the Screen Sense phone guide to help parents navigate it. And tell me a little bit more about this, because I do want to talk about building the stronger relationships and how we can connect better with our kids, because we are busy and we're running here, there, and everywhere. And when we do get those pauses, like, how do we actually connect? I want to talk with you about that. But talk to me about the Screen Sense phone guide and what it entails and how you're helping to get parents involved and into the conversation instead of ignoring it or pretending like, you know, we don't have to worry about that.
I think the first thing that every parent feels is I'm really overwhelmed by all this stuff I didn't grow up with.
Same.
I know
Same.
I've heard that you can put limits on things, but
I have limits on things, but your kids found, my kid found a way to get around it, right?
There's so many different things that you can do. And I don't even know, like a lot of parents are like, I don't even know how to get into the back end and how to manage all this. And then you get to the back end and you got all these tabs and you like, it can be overwhelming. And then you just feel like, I just don't want them on the phone. I can't deal with this. Totally understandable, because it can be a lot.
And on that point, I think it becomes an issue, a contention issue in the house where you're fighting with your kids constantly about screen time. So it becomes a power struggle. It becomes negative because you're like, get off your phone, and we gave them the phone, or you gave them the computer, and now you're fighting about it constantly, and it becomes an issue of just disconnect, and you basically shove them underground to go do their things because the phone becomes this hotbed, right? So you don't want that either. The whole purpose of the Screen Sense guide is to teach parents, number one, you know, how to use it and how to help them use it. It's like putting in, I always say this because everyone's like, oh, they can get around it, they can do this. Like, yeah, obviously they can buy a VPN if they really want to and go block it, but you would hopefully see the VPN. But I think it's like, do we lock the door at nighttime? Can people break in even though the door is locked? 100%. Do people wear seatbelts when they get in the car? Can they still get in accidents? 100%. I think that we've gone too far in being like, it doesn't, like, they've got it. I've heard so many parents just kind of like, now they got it anyways, like it's too late for me. And I think that what we're learning, and we've updated it constantly, the guide, to the point where we have to go to like a monthly update, like a monthly model going forward, because everything is changing constantly, as you know. But what we're learning is kids want boundaries. Like, we've talked to therapists, we've sent our guide to therapists, and they're like, you know, I love all of this. No one's doing this. It'd be great to have this, this, and this in it. So we've gone and updated that. Kids are going to therapy over the phones, 100%, like the social media apps, the use, everything. So I think that once parents understand kids thrive on boundaries and rules and they don't feel good on their phones. And I'm not saying take their phones away. I'm saying we have to teach them the way to use them. And I think that that's what's missed on here. It's all or nothing. That's what it feels like. Our kids are screwed. They're all doomed. Their mental health is crap. So, and then it's like, congratulations, you've won nothing.
And the Screen Sense, well, you were asking, what is it? It is a really easy way to go through videos of the two of us talking about, you know, why we want to talk about this topic, how it relates to us, how we use it, and why we think it's important, and then a very easy, like, tutorial PDF, step by step, not a million steps, really easy on how to go and put these things in. And then there's sections on how to talk to your kids about online etiquette. And it's a
and like, what is Snapchat? What is Instagram? What is TikTok? What are they using them for? What are the blind spots that we as parents missed and wish we had known when our kids signed up for Snapchat? What are the rules of Snapchat? Because there's kid rules that we have no idea about. And when we're like, just unfriend them, you can't. Like there's just all of these things that parents don't know. So I think we're trying to educate parents from a very um experienced way, knowing we don't know everything, but knowing that their number one is factual things you can put on the phone to see how many notifications they got that day. I mean, we were up to one kid who had over 1,000 notifications on Snapchat. You can see which notification for which app. Like we show you how to go and be like, oh, they got this many notifications, or they were on Snapchat for 3 hours, and maybe one was on Google Chrome doing homework for 3 hours. But at least you can show them, hey, how did you feel after you were on Snapchat for 3 hours? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the other thing we talk about is the phone using them or they using the phone? Because it's really different if you have a child who's reading on their phone, their book for school, or doing homework with their devices.
Sure.
We can't, like, we got to go back and forth here. So I think if a kid is being controlled by the phone, and there's things we put in there about like what to look for if there's problems, and obviously transitions, if your kid can't transition because the phone is in the way, like any problems that you want to look for. Again, we're not therapists, but the therapists have said this, and this, and this. And then, there's ways to address it. And I think we say each kid's different, but it doesn't mean you can't put in things to help them not become problematic with it, because phones are designed to be problematic. And that's what all the therapists have said is it is an actual dopamine problem, and phones are designed for you to want to be on them at all costs.
And they're also designed for some really, really helpful educational reasons. And that's why we gave them to our kids. But it's easy videos, it's tutorials, it's fast, it's easy. You can go through the whole guide as fast or as slow as you want to, but you could go through the whole thing really quickly and
there's
gain so much education.
And there's things you can do, like it's actual things you can do to bring back control into the digital parenting world.
Yeah, it's not like abstract conversation. It's actual what you can do. And then you also get access to a community of moms, because a lot of moms feel really alone and not supported during this time when their kids aren't babies anymore. So they want to maybe anonymously have conversations or gain connection with people who are going through it. And so when you get the Screen Sense guide, you also get to belong to this community, and you get to have access to updates because things are changing all the time.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's so helpful. I think too, like you're saying, like it is so overwhelming and there's so much coming at us and it is changing all the time. To have one place where you can come to, like a trusted source, I think that's really, really helpful. So I really appreciate that you're doing that. When we're talking about, this relationship, what I really liked that you've said is like, we don't want to make this a point of contention, right? Like we don't want to be like saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, we know when we were teens and tweens, like when our parents told us these things, or when they really like put up a lot of resistance, that made us want to do it even more. And I come from the era of like, we would have a sleepover at a friend's house, climb out the window and go to like a bush, and we'd like be at a pit party, and like, there was cell phones, but they weren't smartphones, and like it was a different time. But like, I think in that age, you're always trying to like stretch and go a little bit past what you're supposed to
which
be
is
doing.
Natural and normal.
And it's normal, but in this age, it's a little bit easier because we have these online spaces. So what I'd like to talk about a little bit is actually getting our kids to talk to us about what's happening in their world, whether it's in person, on our devices, without shutting down, without it being like, well, like my mom just hates me being on my phone. So if I tell her there's a problem, I'm just going to get in more trouble, right? So you have, and this is not new, like the Common Parent has been around for a long time. You've been there to support parents in giving them real and tangible advice for navigating these, what can be challenging times and years in like parenting years. So besides the just device use and cell phones, what are some of those really big struggles that parents are coming to you with right now? Or how are you now supporting the parents, and who are you learning from to help them stay connected with their teens and tweens during these years?
I think that the sad thing is that parents are also really distracted by their phones, as like what we're hearing too, is so that like there isn't as much time for everyone to connect. And a lot of it is us leading by example and making space. Like we can tell them to get off their phones, but kids inherently want to be good and please their parents. Like most kids aren't like, I hate my parents. Like they don't know how to connect with you, like you're saying. And I think when you everyone puts their phone down, and you make a conscious effort to have like, as cheesy as it is, if you can find like a family dinner, like without devices. We even give you these techniques in the Screen Sense guide. I really don't want my kids on the phone in the car because I think there is time to foster you can talk. People begin to talk, and I'm like, put your phone in the freaking glove box so you're not distracted by it, and you can look around and have a conversation. I think just small habits. My kids will all go on a walk with me to this day, which blows my mind. And they talk so much that I'm like, oh my gosh, you have so much to say. That's not for every kid. I think it's just finding ways, that is what was fun for them when they were little, and how can you recreate that? And it's watching a show without your phone. Like that means a lot to them when you're actually doing something without your phone too, or not working and doing the thing. A lot of parents are like, well, I'm working and I make money and you don't. It's sort of like, I think we have to make more space for them to talk. And I think when you do a forced connection, unfortunately, it doesn't work as well. But the conversations that happen in the kitchen when, I'm cooking and they're around and like buzzing around is often
buzzing. It sounds so nice, but really it's so loud.
Yeah, they're buzzing, right? And I think it's
Feel
just
that.
finding the buzzing connection. I think we have to let go of the notion of like this like sit down conversation. Some kids will lie in bed and talk to you for 100 hours, but I think connection's about being present. I don't think it's about, and some kids aren't going to tell you everything. That's just not their thing. But I think it's the constant message of like, we have a journal too. And I don't know if you know this, and it's kind of like the amnesty journal. And I think the journal is really this piece of like anything can happen. You write them this, and I will not get mad at you. And I think it's letting them know, like, I am here when shit goes sideways. I won't. If you're like, Mom, I need you. Don't get mad. I won't get mad, and you have to promise that. And I think it's just sort of letting them know that they're not alone.
And also watching those examples of like, we always say there's big problems and there's little problems, but if you're going to react to a really small thing, really, really big, they're going to be like, I'm too afraid to talk to you. So, and when they do tell you things, if like, let's say they just like tap in and maybe they're talking about a friend or someone at school
Always.
that had like a photo that was shared, your reaction is going to be their like temperature for when it happens again.
They're
If they
testing
tell you.
They're testing you. They're always testing you when they say this happened to a friend, and it's how you react. That is like, it's usually that too, but they're like, so this friend at school, and they're like, they don't even know, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, I think like talking to other parents is like, it can be a really shameful time, because you don't want your kids to get a bad reputation for you talking about them or look at you differently as a parent and all of that. But you can talk to other parents, see what they're doing, and then decide what's right for you and your family. I know that can be hard because it's almost like saying follow your instincts, but your instincts are hard at a time like this or in motherhood. But if you know that your kids react to a way of connection that's different than maybe the other moms at your school, really try different things until you see what works for them. So if it's like, I don't want them to use their phones in the car because I think that's, so you think that
you might
right?
be in a 2-hour car ride, and you might be like, this is how I get my peace, right? But for me, like, when we say that to you, we give like things to help you with it. But I think that you really do have to find your own way you can connect them. But if I have them locked in somewhere, I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm like, let's go. Because usually when it's one-on-one, they will talk to you. Not always when everyone's in the car, but the conversations that happen, even the siblings have a lot of great advice for them too. They all chime in, So
the car can be a confessional.
Yeah, I do love the drives.
I love picking up after, like, especially when there's a group of them. Totally. You're like, oh my gosh, everyone phones away, and then they just, it's the best.
My brother-in-law was telling us about like he has a 13-year-old, and so all the boys were in the back of his vehicle, and they were talking about this, that, and the other thing, and he's like, I don't want to be listening, boys. But then I was like, no, you have to listen, you have to hear what they're saying. Like you need, and my sister-in-law is like, no, you have to tell me, like, what are they saying and who are they talking about? And like, as much as we feel like we're invading the privacy, sometimes that's okay, right? And so
silently.
I want to talk about the thoughts between us journal that you created, because that is a really good thing, a really good way to kind of take some of the pressure off, because sometimes when it's face to face and it's like, we have to have this talk and it has to be serious, then, there's a lot of pressure, and that confrontation can be like, feel really aggressive, like even for adults, but for kids that can feel like, we're talking down to them. So just tell us a little bit more about thoughts between us, because I feel like it can be such a powerful tool to help kids communicate and maybe share things that they wouldn't do for having this big serious one-on-one talk. Or any stories that have stuck with you from people who are using it
Yes.
and I were like,
Yes.
wow, I never would have known, or this wouldn't have been resolved had it not been for this journal.
I think two things. I think that we've overused text, and I think parents text a lot, but I think can become like numb. Like they're like, oh God, they're texting me again, because we like to like rage text, or like, like, oh, like you go back and forth. And I think that when you give them, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. And I think when you have a journal that something that when you tell them the intent of it, right? Like, so when they see three bubbles coming up, they don't think they're in trouble when you're texting them, and it's like dot dot dot, you're waiting for a response. And I think the journal is like an intentional piece, and it's something really intentional to show them like, I'm always here for you, and please, like, if you need me, write on this. And it's like, this is your get out of jail free book, and I am here for you. And I think I don't know how many parents actually say that to their kids. Like, if something happens and you feel like you are in the worst trouble of your life and it is the end of the world, I've got you.
Don't go through it alone.
And I think so many parents actually don't say that. They mean it, but they don't verbally say it. And I think the journal can be used, just to write like, I'm just so proud of you. I love you. Just moments of like letting them know what's good, because I think so often we're on them about what's bad. And I think we can just, it's something you can use to just, when they find a note from you, they're like, oh my gosh, it's like leaving them a sticky note. And we actually do have sticky notes in there to go in it as well. I think it doesn't always have to be just like doomsday. I think that it's a way to build connection. And I think often enough we're not just texting them or like rage texting or something like that. I think it's the Amnesty Journal it's not called the Amnesty Journal, but it is just a way, it's a symbol of like, hey, in this crazy world, I'm your mom or I'm your dad, and I freaking got you no matter what.
And it's a great way, even if your kids are younger, to like start the habit.
Yes.
Of writing notes back and forth to each other.
People have come out in it. People have talked about, hard things they're going through, about like cutting, or, what they're thinking. And it's just sort of, it's kind of like a timeout, I think so quickly we're so used to text response, like it's like, and I think the writing is just, I think it's a way to get things out, and it's there and you have it. And I don't think we do it enough with our kids, because I think back in the day, we all used to write constantly to each other, or notes or things. And I think it is a way to actually express how you feel. And I think some people will doodle in it. I think some people, there are like verbal diarrheas who will actually write a lot in it, and it's a way for them to get out what they're thinking and feeling. Or some kids just want to see what you're saying to them. I think it's just a something physical that we don't really do enough of anymore.
Yeah, you just made me remember like when I was younger and would literally spend my nights writing like notes to all my friends, and they would be like 20 pages front and back. And I just wrote like a rough draft of something that I was working on versus typing it. And my hand was so sore, and it was like one page. We need to do this more. But there is like this, like a response in our brains that is much different when we're physically writing something versus typing or texting. So I think that's a really cool thing to introduce. Another thing that you're doing, like amongst all these cool things, is now part of your podcast, Cat Nat Unfiltered. You now have Parenting Teens Unfiltered. So now you're having the tough conversations, you're speaking to experts, you're doing all the stuff, you're like in the know.
Very selfish, just so you know. It's very selfish. It's for very selfish reasons.
Like, I mean, we're having this conversation so you can fill me in and all the things that I've missed out on, and now I can be in the know, right? So like keeping track of it ongoing, this is so helpful for so many people, including yourselves, including me. So talk to me about some of the biggest wake-up calls that you've had recently, maybe with some guests, or something that you wish you had known before your kids hit sort of that tween and teen stage. Like what do you wish you knew, or what's like a big thing that you're like, holy crap, like I didn't know that, and thank you for telling me.
I feel like I'm holy crap every day. I was gonna say every single day. Like we will book experts for what if there's like something big that's happening with teens and stuff, we'll try and get an expert for that, or it's just general stuff. But Kat's so right. We also talk about things that other people have brought up that's going on with them, conundrums in their life with their teens or their children or parenting. And it is so true. There is not one thing that has really blown my mind over everything else, because every single day is learning. Every day that the kids come home and say something, every day we watch the news, every day a new expert comes out with some study somewhere. I think it's all the time. And I think that hopefully nothing completely blows you away, because I think that as a parent, you need to be open-minded that you're going, new things are going to hit you all the time, and just be open to it. I think, one of the things that is too bad is parents, when we find out that parents aren't as open to learning or wanting to do better, or wanting to put in, they're so worried and scared, but they don't want to do anything about it.
They'd rather, it's their own fears that are holding them back, and
Sure.
when I would say the Screen Sense Guide and creating it and talking to people actually really, I have a much different perspective on screen time now than I did. And I have a really bigger understanding of the magnitude of how it plays in our kids' lives. I think before, and not in a bad way, I'm happy that I can parent with them in it, and not, I'm so happy I understand more now. And I think that when you understand more, you don't feel so overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And I think that it really is just it's going to be okay. Kids are good. They want to be good. They want to do well. They want to be successful. And parents want to parent their children. We just are a little lost right now because it's a new world. But we can learn that new world together. And we're living real time research. We are literally living real time. And
Yeah.
we have, the 20-something-year-olds to be like, I wish my parents had done more. And now we get the gift of being able to do more because we are listening to them, right? So I think it's not all or nothing. Phones aren't bad. They're very helpful for, my son has a learning disability, and it's the best thing he could have because he can communicate with talk to text. And thank gosh,
Yeah.
there's amazing things about communication and FaceTime, and it's not all bad. We just have to teach them how to use it and the worlds they're living in, and open their world to in real life, because I think we forget that they are teenagers and we still need to be connected to them. And I know you asked that question, but I think it's just listening to them, being curious when they tell you something. There's a hack you can do. When they tell you something, repeat the last word that they said, and they will keep talking. So if they're like, oh, there was crazy, there was a cop today at school for 10 hours, and you're like, 10 hours? And then they're like, yeah, they'll keep talking. So rather than
Love that.
try to let them talk more than you talking, because I think so right away we want to, I'm terrible at this, but you want to right away be like, but did you know that is it? Like you want to go right back at them. Try to give them space without everyone going. I just think that it's a lot easier. Parents are really good at connecting if you just let it happen, and let the buzz go on and let them just be around and listen for things. And if they aren't coming out of their rooms, yes, be concerned. You know what I mean? Like, go get in their space. If they aren't, if they are changing their behavior drastically, yes, get involved. It's not, don't just blame it, chalk it up to teenagehood. You can send them memes on their phone and, be like, hey, did you see this challenge? This is weird. Like, if there's something you're concerned about, ask them, don't tell them. Be like, hey, have you heard of this? You'll be very surprised about what they come
I
back.
feel like that's the one thing in the end of adolescence that they questioned was, should we have left him behind a closed door for so many hours?
No.
Right.
And get you can ask them questions without accusing. And you can be curious about their lives, get involved in their lives in a way that isn't intrusive. And they're gaming, go sit and game with them and see if they're talking to strangers. Like, you know what I mean? Just get involved where you can.
Yeah. Listen, be there, and don't be
Carpool.
afraid to, yeah, totally.
Be
Okay.
curious.
We're going to wrap this up, but we did get a few questions, and I did reach out to some people who really wanted to chat with you too. And so I do have a couple of questions before we leave, if you don't mind going through some listener questions. I have one from Sonia Dong. She is the host of Raising the Next Gen podcast. So it's similar to talking about teens and tweens and what they're going through. And she wants to know, what are some of your tips or things that you've learned for reducing the stress of parenting teens and tweens? Like, what are you doing for yourselves, or what should parents be doing? Because it can be, I imagine, a pretty stressful time. I think the stakes are higher here.
Just believe parenting's amazing, and your kids are amazing, and they're smarter than you think they are. And I think we need to stop over squeezing what the problems are, because there's so much red alerts being like, your kids are this, you're like, there's so much hype around problems. And I think if we can all just take the gas pedal off and realize like we can do this. And I think we need to stop being really hard on ourselves and realize that like our kids love us so much and we love them, and we need to stop micromanaging this relationship. And I think that as parents, we need to just enjoy them. And I think that if we can get back to like enjoying them and rather than micromanaging them, I can't imagine how that would turn terribly. You know what I mean? Like find joy with them. And I think you'll be surprised at how the relationship shakes out.
And also talk to other parents. Every time I'm sitting at like a hockey rink or a dance, and or even with my friends talking about not just like small talk, but about things that are going on, people you can trust, you feel really good after you walk away.
We're doing a guide with someone and are like part of the guide, and like, have you heard about this app? And we're like, what? And it's like a Tinder for teens. And we're like, no. And so it's like it's helpful to get conversations with each other. And like Nat said, I think when we started talking to people, I think we have like 60 websites to block, like dark web, gambling, like, don't be afraid to talk to each other about like, have you heard? Not accusing, just be like, have you heard about this?
Yeah, get the dish. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Another question. Thanks for always keeping it real. What's something about mom life that still surprises you even after all these years?
I would say that
How much they want to be around us.
oh God. Yes, that, but
Oh my God.
also that they can change, and they can surprise you, and that, not to put your kids in a box and say my kid's like this or my kid is like that.
And my kid would never.
Oh God.
And when they tell you something they're not doing and you believe, like, I mean, believe them, but also like keep your, like, I mean, like just don't ever say never. Don't say never.
I always like to say, I was like, this is what they told me. Now, I don't know what actually happened, but this is the report I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last one. How about I'm just going through a few here. This one says, love your mom truths. It seems like you've seen it all when it comes to parenting fails. What's an oops moment that had you crying / laughing, or what's the wildest thing that you've gotten yourselves into?
I mean, as far as parenting, I just think like for me, it's a lot of like
Forgetting suitcases with full clothes, like remember when I went away and I forgot all of her underwear and
Yeah.
only had dresses and I had no underwear packed.
Yeah.
Skirts. I was like, I couldn't even buy them where I was. I was like, oh my God.
Like screwing up schedules, being in the wrong place.
Oh, always.
And I
Wrong
feel like
appointment, wrong time.
I see, because we do that a lot. And some people are really good at being organized.
Now they're like, did you get the right day? If they're like looking and they're like, did you?
It's actually great that they become more responsible. So I'd say not being in the right place at the right time, but to also be like, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't be like, I'm such a bad mom. I got this. Like, you're doing the best that you can. Just don't worry about it. And nothing is going to be that big. As long as we're all like still alive.
I washed that underwear every damn day. She had one pair that she wore there, and I was like, wash, so she could wear her skirt. Like, I had forgotten I forgot another full suitcase for a kid, and I was up north. I had to go to Walmart and get like pajamas and a shirt. I
mean, I did have last summer, I didn't bring any underwear for one of them, but he's a boy, so it worked out a little better. But I never went and bought them. I'm like, you know what? I guess we're freeballing this summer.
I think we all just do the best you can. Do what you can.
Totally. Well, thank you guys so much. So much wisdom, a lot of realness, a lot of people who are listening are going to feel seen. And I just really appreciate it. You're making people feel less alone. And that's really, really helpful. Before we go,
I do want to say one thing before you go, is that if they have it as a screen name, like if they have an iCloud account, because this doesn't work on Android, it's only Apple, you can monitor the screen time across all devices. So it's not just iPhone. So that's just important to know, because I think a lot of parents just think iPhones, but it can go across all devices. You can see everything and sync them all.
Okay. Well, we've got to get the Screen Sense phone guide, Common Parent, all the other resources. What's the best place to get all of this stuff, or to learn more?
Update our link tree. You know what? Probably just go to Cat Nat, and then in the bio we'll update all the links, which we haven't. So I'm going to go do. You just reminded me to go do that. So yes, thank you.
And then we have our Cat Nat Unfiltered podcast. We have the Common Parent, and we have Cat Nat.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you guys so much. It's been so much fun.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. Well, it's been real and it has been fun. And I just want to say a huge, huge thank you to Cat Nat for coming on today to help us explore this digital landscape and for really enlightening me and helping us all navigate these complexities in raising our kids. I really appreciate the commitment they have to fostering that open communication and these tools that they're creating and constantly updating to to support us and to make sure that we're all going through this together. So thank you so much. For more information, I am going to put some links in the notes for this podcast episode, but definitely go get that Screen Sense phone guide, visit the Common Parent, tune into their podcast, both Cat and Nat Unfiltered and Parenting Teens Unfiltered. This episode of The Juggle is Real was such a pleasure to record. And if you liked it, I invite you to please rate it, write me a short review on Apple Podcasts, and share it with a friend. Share it with someone who's going through this too, to let them know that they are not alone and to help support them in this juggle that we're all going through. Until the next episode, please make sure to subscribe so you can come on back. And thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Take good care.